Good afternoon, or evening, or tomorrow. If it's tomorrow, well, Mazel Tov, and we made it through to the night. Now, with that being said, I'm being followed, being here with Shadow and soon the Sun, and we're going to do a little bit talking about yesterday's game with Bruce, which I had a good time. I had actually a really good time, and I think Shadow
Yep.
did as well.
Hell yeah.
Then, because of technology issues, we are going to split the Dresden book Full Moon into two different videos. We're going to do half of the book this one, and the next one here, maybe next week or the following week. But as soon as we're able to get that one as a whole, we don't want to leave Jack with the last 20 minutes of the book again. That's just that nice. Um, so that's how we're going to do today. So let's get started with Bruce's game. Yesterday, if you didn't watch, we did another slog against an enemy combatant. Do you care to tell them what it was?
Yeah, it was 14 ogres slash giants out in the middle of the open plains, sort of a hilltop slog, if you will. It was almost more than we were ready for. Well, one of us didn't make it technically, but then was reincarnated, which I feel bad about because had I known what was going on, I don't know how I missed it. The last like melee round of the battle just flew by before it was my turn, and I could have probably kept him from dying technically, but with the reincarnation thing, I guess it's okay. I hope he doesn't hold it against me. We really need a little bit better healing regimen for ourselves during combat. But that was a biggie. It was a big battle. Was, early on, I thought I was going to get just slaughtered. My character's got two less than 100 hit points, and I was down to 9 in the first like 2, 3, 4 melee rounds, and uh, yeah, I probably saw my life flash before my eyes. And you know how I am about resurrection. I really don't want to be brought back. If I die, technically, then you know I kind of pictured like that episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer when they bring her back from the dead and she's all pissed off because she was actually in heaven and didn't want to come back. And I picture my character having the same reaction, especially if I come back as a hobbit or a gnome or something like that. What's the freaking point? It's just no, no. So watch out. Oh, my dog is being weird. So I'm gonna have to have a talk with the party. It's like, hey, don't reincarnate my ass, But at the same time, I don't want to roll up a new character because it would just be another paladin, and I'm not ready to. I really can't think of anything I'd rather play um, at this moment in time. So everybody keep your fingers crossed, and hopefully, they won't be burying me on a hill like we almost died on, because that was a brutal battle. That was just probably way more than we should have opted for. But, I don't think we really had much of a choice. What do you think?
I don't think so either. I mean, it needed to be done. The entire party, everybody agrees that it needed to be done. You say you're 2 points less than 100.
Yeah.
I am like 12 point. No, I am 22 points less than 100.
And I haven't taken any of those extra hit points, when you have the choice of taking a hit point or a skill level, and I haven't done that yet. It's just,
I mean,
in retrospect, I almost wish I would have, because that'd been 8 more hit points, put me at 106. But my AC went up afterwards, and got a couple of cool magic items, and I have yet to use any of my healing potions, which is probably a good thing. But now that I know how to use my lay on hands, pretty much every single round, that should make a huge difference, because my lay on hands is like 3d6 per level, or 3d6 per touch. So that's kind of a lot. And if we can just maybe get another cleric or some sort of healer that's their job in the party.
Yeah.
That would be a biggie also. But like I said, we've got you know some healing potions. Maybe we should make sure those are pretty well distributed and make sure they don't get crushed in combat, kind of thing. Because I hate when
Oh
that
yeah.
crap happens. I hate that.
No, I mean last night. I mean we had it. It was it's giants are always daunting. I mean that's just the nature of it. It's a giant, so everything is going to be X times more than what in theory you should be able to handle. But
Well, go ahead.
but with Pathfinder, it kind of evens out in the wash with all the abilities that we get and the structure of characters that we make. And for the most part, we were doing the whole. We're not exactly doing call sign. We're not call sign Charlie. We're not like saying, "Hey, come over here" or "Go over there." But
Right.
as a group, we are able to work somewhat together.
Yeah, there was 7 of us, right?
Yeah.
And we took
And we
out,
had
14 ogres slash giants. That's not too shabby for a day's work. I
no.
wanted to add that the magic that Kat gave us last night, that was pretty epic.
Yeah.
Between the haste and something else and the other blessings and things we had and the enlarge and my bull's strength, I could have probably arm wrestled a couple of them and won, had that been the case. And the extra attacks, that's huge. I know I think I'm right on the edge of actually getting an extra attack per melee anyways, but that was big. That was incredibly noticeable. I was dishing out sometimes over 100 points of damage in a round, with just 1, 2, or 3 actual hits, a couple of crits, which was nice, and hopefully
one trig yesterday. My dice are normally high. I've had a few people want to go and weigh my dice to make sure they're not loaded. They're not. They just normally roll really well for me for some odd reason.
Well, I swapped out my apparently my Conan dice that do roll low because I was doing really good in that Conan game, so I made sure not to use those dice. But I had a couple of times where I didn't do so well. But once all those spells took effect, I was hitting on 5s and 6s, so it was really not an issue for me to actually be able to hit.
Oh yeah.
Pretty low in some cases, and even when it wasn't, I was getting like plus 21 or something like that to hit. Like, as long as I don't roll a 1, I think I'm good. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. Already counting the days for the next game because I don't have another Conan game, so it's going to be 2 weeks between now and the next game for me. And the next game's 2 weeks away.
Yeah, the Conan game. What's that about? I mean, I know it's a Modiphius. I know.
Yeah, it's a different system. It's there's virtually no magic on the player's side. It's all just hack and slash and decision making, obviously. But the game mechanics have a system where we can get bonus dice, for our dice pool, so to speak, if we give the DM the equivalent exchange in threat or doom or whatever you want to call it. I think it's called doom. So every time we take bonus dice, he gets them too, and he has rules on how he can use them against us. Which the game was fun. Crafty's a great GM, but as a dungeon master and a control freak, I just don't like giving the players the options to tell me how to run the game or how or what I can and can't do at certain times. It's not as brutal as I'm making it sound, but it's uncomfortable. A couple of little rules where they can introduce things like the equivalent of by letting the dungeon master have some of those those bonus points for him, we can kind of say, well, there's a secret door here, or there's I found something that wasn't there before, or this person is going to tell us something they weren't going to tell us before. Those kind of manipulations I'm not comfortable with. I'm used to, this is it. It's set in stone. I drew up the map. This is the way it is. Here's the number of monsters. And if you defeat those monsters, then you get the victory, so to speak. Not, well, if we're willing to take some bad stuff in the future, we get something crucially good right now. That it's more of a, the overall game feel is more akin to the actual stories and the way, whether it be Star Trek or Mutant Chronicles or John Carter or Conan, it's more along the lines of everything's faster. You're not keeping track of torches and rope and healing potions and things like that. Yeah, you've got hit points and you do have some equipment, but for example, I started the game with the equivalent of my crossbow had some arrow or bolts, okay, but
Right.
it was really only enough for what was called a volley. During my turn, I basically fired all of my crossbow bolts off at once, and then I was out of crossbow bolts. So it turned my crossbow into a one-round, one-shot weapon, and I think I might have, launched off 4 or 5 that did damage, but I should have had more throughout the rest of the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Imagine you've got a quiver full of arrows, but you fire them off in 2 rounds, and then you're done for the game.
Yeah.
Here comes the little guy.
My apologies, gentlemen. But
You must be using that term loosely today.
Don't we always?
we do.
No, it doesn't do that.
Yes, it does.
Well, if it does, if our screen falls down, just.
My fault.
But yeah, it's very fly by the seat of your pants kind of a game, and while it's a lot of fun, it's I'm just used to having a long list of equipment, gear, spells, items that to rely on. I didn't have any torches, I didn't have any rope, I didn't have any other tools. I had my sword, my crossbow, and I think maybe a knife. And I don't leave home with that little in equipment. When I go to the grocery store, I ask the little guy. I'm just going to the grocery store, and I got a knife, I got my tear gas, my stun gun, my keys, my wallet. It's just and I'm just going to pick up some bread and potato chips.
I always have a knife on me, and that's about it. I'm more likely to shoot myself with a stun gun than I am with somebody else. So I just I play with toys. I understand.
Well, it's not a gun. It's just a stun baton. It's just it's about the size. It's a flashlight that happens to have that function. Which, again, I've got a flashlight. I'm usually not going out at night, but I still have a flashlight on. So
A tase light.
Yeah, it's if I push the one button and I touch you with it, you get lit up.
So the $100 question is: have you tried on yourself yet to see what it's like?
No, I have on. I had another one, which was one of those kind that you actually put on your hand, and the 2 knuckles, if they make contact with something, will light someone up. And I had to throw it away because it was defective. But once I pushed the button and it lit me up, I'm like, oh, okay, this is going in the garbage. But we've got a gun show. We've got a gun show in 2 weeks, so you guys can expect us to show off some new cool equipment. But yeah, I just, I carry gear. Yeah, my character didn't even have a pipe or any tobacco. I'm like, what the hell? I'm running around naked. Now, mind you, I had the baddest ass weapon in the game that night and the best armor, so it was soaking up, literally, that's the term they use, damage. So I never actually took any damage, and we fought a bunch of monsters, and I got to lop off the head of the boss monster, which was a magically imbued Black Panther, and I got to lop his head off. That was cool. And I took a few other heads, and it was a whole lot of fun. And if we all agreed, if Crafty wants to make it a campaign or something like that, we're all in. No question.
Yeah.
Just tell us when.
Oh no.
But in lieu of that,
go for it. Continue.
I said in lieu of that, I'm working on 3 different role-playing game campaigns that I've talked about before. A Traveler campaign, the D&D game that this guy's already in, and a Venture Brothers style Beyond the Supernatural or some other game mechanic, game engine, more or less comedy sort of, a cross between the Venture Brothers and Supernatural, if you can imagine that. Instead of everything being mostly super science, it'll be, supernatural.
Gotcha. I was going to say, my sacrificial jar of tobacco is getting filled up. It has ashes and butts in it. And I know it's been a good weekend if I have to empty it out by Monday. So, wait, there's tobacco in Conan? I don't remember seeing tobacco in Conan.
Yeah, there is. There's various scenes where people smoke hookahs and clay pipes. Not the movies, but the books and the Savage Sword of Conan magazine. I'm pretty certain I've seen images of that. So
I used to work at a hookah bar when I was young. 19, I was working at a hookah bar down in Champaign, Illinois. Anybody from my local region that knows Champaign, Illinois, is a wonderful place. It's a college town, but a lot of good food to be found there. It does have the college feel, unfortunately, but there's a really cool small little town for all Illinoisans that want to do a little day trip to somewhere you haven't been before. I am recommending Champaign, Illinois, and maybe Starving Rock up in up north, but that's a whole different conversation.
We have to have a hookah bar here, and we're a tiny little, not tiny, but a small town. We've got 2 Walmarts in the entire city we live in. So it's
one.
pretty.
And one's enough.
Well, one's pretty much out of business now.
Well, we say things like you should not buy people that hate you, which is true. We should not give the people that hate you money, but we still shop at Walmart. So
we kind of don't have a choice. We kind of don't have a choice. Literally, it wouldn't matter which grocery store. They all have the same sort of mentality. But when it comes to here's the thing. The only bill you have as a grown up that you can shrink when you need to is your grocery bill. Therefore, we have to go to the cheapest grocery store there is in order to save money. There really is no other bill. Your gas bill is always the same. It never goes down. It only goes up.
Yeah, electric bill. That's fair. I'm a big non-deponent for Walmart. If I can shop at the farmer's market, I will. But that's just me being a hippie, I guess. I'll let that.
Yeah, when the price is twice, when it's twice the price, I don't have a choice.
That's fair. You have a family, and I got myself. There's a difference, I don't know. Walmart's just been pissing me off. So has Amazon. Anyways, with that being said, I don't know if you completely have heard the scenario what's going on today, Jack, but because you and your father have not been able to read the book entire, we're going to break it up into two different sections. We're going to part A and part B. Part A. Part A will talk about the introduction of the.
Get that whole thing from him. He's just gonna make.
Wait, hold on.
Okay.
Can you dig that out of the trash or something?
I believe so.
My dog has been digging in the trash lately, and I have no idea why.
What kind of dog is it? We like dogs
He's a
on this
mutt.
channel. He's a mutt.
He's a super mutt. He's a super mutt. He's
As long
part
as-
terrier and part Oscar the Grouch and part
Pig.
and part something else.
I had this buddy who had a crossbreed between a Dachshund and a Chihuahua. I lovingly called it a chili dog.
Fair?
I thought
Yeah.
I thought it was funny, you know.
Okay, I was going to use the word cute, but I'm not going to.
I thought it was funny. Yeah, you know,
Yeah.
Yeah, I call him Chili Dog too, but for a different reason.
right. That's a spicy dog. Anyways, anywho's and anyways.
So I don't have access to the chat today. So if there's any of our friends out there,
So far, and I'm thankful for the one watcher. It might be you guys, though. I don't know.
no, it's
As
not.
of right now, we have one watcher.
We don't
And
mind.
he or
We
she.
got better things to do to watch this crap. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
No, actually, I watch it afterwards. I always watch your videos, and I watch my own videos.
Too much.
Just give some view time, and also for our own video to make sure there's no grievous errors in it. And Kai's been putting up a bunch of stuff thanks to Baron. Hopefully,
Oh man, Kai
this week-
stuff is pure gold. Kai, I'd love to have Kai on here one of these days just to talk about a novel that we've all
right.
read.
But I kind of hope Baron can find other stuff besides just rants, because I'd hate for Kai to get pigeonholed into that and typecast forever. He's got a lot to offer when it comes to what's on his mind, and I'd hate to see him get a lot of flack for that. Especially as time goes on. He really like I said, he's got a lot to offer, and I'd like to see more of that. The rants are funny as hell, but I watch them and I see them in real time. So after the fact, it's like, okay, well, do I want to watch him rant again? Wait a minute, did I crack any jokes during it? I don't know if you remember the last time.
Yes, I do.
So
Well, in the last 2 weeks,
it's funny too, because that one flew right over his head. He didn't hear what I said, and everybody else, on the panel, they're just dying. I damn near spit out my water watching your guys' reaction to that one line, and he's just going on, just chugging away, and I'm just like, I wonder if he's going to watch that and see. I hope,
So
I hope
right.
he gets a chance to see that.
Two quick things before we get into the potatoes and meat of the novel. One, Jack, did you know that your father got voted in to be a table breaker last week?
I was aware of that, yes.
Thanks,
was
guys. I
there.
really appreciate that.
Not a problem. You're good people. We should have more good people around us all the time. That's what makes all this matter, is having good people around you. Secondly,
Like I said, I wish I could get sooner.
everything has its time. That's what, something my grandpa always told me. Everything in its own time.
That's the first time too. He said no, but
Kai was cantonized. We made him a saint of, how do I put that? Of the irritant, of the wrathful, and the ranchers. Or the ranchers, the irritant, and the wrathful. Depends on how you want to put it down. I'm waiting to become a saint someday, but we're not going to say on live what I want to become a saint of. Giggity. And, there's St. Arnold, which already has happened. Did you know, Jack, as a fellow Catholic, when it came time for me to pick my saint, I was shoehorned. These are the choices I had. St. Michael, who is an angel, who I disbelieve should be a saint to become with. Because if we can't become angels, they should not be able to become saints. St. Michael, St. Gabriel, St. Christopher of Patron of Travelers, St. Jude of Lost Causes, guess which one I went for. And there was a couple other ones. When I became an older person, and I'm still reading through all the saints. There's even a Saint Lucifer, but not the same Lucifer. There's 100 there's more than 100, but I was going to say there's 101 different saints out there, but more than that. There is a Saint Arnold. Saint Arnold is the saint of the brewers, the hoppers, and the drunks. Well, not so much the drunks, but you get where I'm going.
Yeah.
I want to be that saint. I want to be that saint. That's not fair. That should be my saint. But no, I'm stuck with the same lost causes.
Since he's picked, maybe you could be, the saint of the rollers or something.
The same cigars? Yeah. Anyways, that right there, that thought is sinful because it is prideful, and that is a sin, my dear friends. And, well, I already got enough on my book. Anyways, with that being said, let's talk about Full Moon. The second book in the series of the Jim Butcher's Dresden Files. We talked about Jim Butcher's Stormfront 2 weeks ago, and I believe there was someone on this chat that had the last 20 minutes of the book left that we need to talk about really quick.
Yes, we do.
Did the book make you laugh? Did it make you cry? Did it make you want to read more of them?
Well, I did want to reread it afterwards, but
that's a good sign.
Yeah, but then I'm not sure if he told you, but the video was deleted.
Yeah, so whoever the narrator is, the really good narrator for the Dresden books, there's no more of that particular narrator available on YouTube right now. So we had to listen. We had to listen to two different versions of an inferior narrator, which, there's some really good narrators out there, and I get it if you want to be a narrator or if you love the book so much that you can't help but want to read the book out loud to everybody. But
some people just
sometimes some people really. Well, the one guy that I was watching, he was doing a really good job.
But the audio was just so...
On max volume, I still couldn't hear it. And I don't have headphones that fit into my device that work. So I listened to his reading, 6-8 chapters.
It was 8 chapters.
And I'm like, okay. And then he just abruptly stopped. And every time it's the same audio issue, the lowest possible when you can imagine, and still, still kind of hear it, but just, I don't want to strain to hear something. Normally, when I play music, it's at 100. My TV goes up to 100. That's where the volume's going to be. Same thing with an audio book. I want to hear it over. If I'm washing dishes or, whatever. I want to be able to hear it while I'm doing other things. That's why I'm not just sitting and reading. And the other young lady, she clearly loves the books and wants to do this and did the whole book and probably the book before it.
I think she's still doing it now. So.
That's great,
but the Asian guy is not.
But you got to listen to your comment section. If people are saying, not necessarily, if they're giving you hostile comments,
Well, there really wasn't any. I checked the comments most of the time.
But you've got to have some self-reflection and be able to look at your own work and know where to improve. And after hundreds of hours of this, you got to be able to make improvements. You got to be able to recognize your own flaws and faults and foibles and try to correct them where you can, unless you're like us, absolutely proud of our mistakes and failures. You have to improve. If you don't improve, you're just slogging through life and not really making it worthwhile for everybody around you, let alone yourself, in my opinion. So we're gonna have to probably, if things don't change, we're either gonna have to get some sort of Audible book subscription, which I don't really want to do. I like getting things for free. Cheap. Yeah. And
do you guys have a local library, that wonderful place that has books in your area?
We have a library, but it's tiny, and I doubt they would have, the odds of going to the library and finding the exact book or books we want. And then I have this horrible habit of when I go to a library, it's pretty much a bookstore. I'm just going to keep the book. Thank you. And I'll pay the fines and and or if the book is actually available for sale, then I will just buy it, and then that turns that place into a place having 1 or 2 or 5 less books, and I don't really feel good about that. But throughout my life, I've never returned a book. I just sorry, it's
Yeah,
mine now. Send me the bill and good luck getting collected on. No, I'm kidding. I'll pay for the book, but it'd be easier for us to just buy the books through Amazon or eBay. And my book tip, real quick, for all you book readers and buyers: don't buy the book. Buy a pile of books. If you're looking for book X, look for a lot of books, which means a lot is a pile or X number of books, and look for a lot that has the book that you're looking for in it. Okay, especially if you're looking for a series of books, like I was looking for Horse Clans. Horse Clans #1 was $30 everywhere across the board, but yet a lot of books that had Horse Clans #1 in it was $12 for 6 books. So not only did I save more than 50% on the one book that I wanted, which, by the way, $30 for a paperback book is highway robbery. And if you're selling books like that, I don't know what to tell you. But I ended up paying $2 a book for 6 books that I actually wanted anyways. So go on eBay, look for lots of books for the book that you're looking for, and you got to check each lot to make sure it's got the book you want, or the 2 or the 3 or the 5 or the dozen books that you want, and you will get them a lot cheaper, because for whatever reason it's just cheaper. It's like when you go to buy Magic the Gathering cards. If you want a Siobhan Dragon from X edition, and it's $40-$50 for just the one card, but then you go look up the set that the card came in, and you can buy the whole set for like $200. That's what I used to do. That's why I won't sell the cards that I have until I have my own store, which we're gonna have to talk about later. Which I won't sell to a seller, because then they've got to make their markup, and that's what I'm trying to do. And selling on eBay Magic cards, that's just a great way to lose cards and money at the same time, because every single buyer out there, when they buy a card, in my experience, they say, oh, the card never showed up, even though the tracking number says otherwise, or they say the card is damaged, and then eBay just says, oh, well, you're paying for it. They get their money back, and you don't get your card.
Yeah.
And that's happened to me. I kid you not, that's happened to me 20 different times, if it's happened one time. And, I had so many up on eBay at the same time that, what can I do? Okay, they get the cards, I lose my money, etc. I'm not doing that anymore. So one of these days soon, I will be opening up a game store, hopefully sooner than later, and then I can get rid of all my extra stuff and, provide a place for people to game happily, in whatever town we're living in at the time.
I don't know if you know this, Jack, but I told your dad if he opens up a game store, I'll come move to wherever he's at and be the in-house DM.
For 5th edition.
For whatever edition, Pathfinder 3.5.
Well, I'll be there, so I'll probably be Dungeon Master also. But we'll see. That's 6 months down the road.
Yeah. All right. So last 20 minutes of the Dresden Files, I believe I'm going to let the little guy talk, because I'm going to let him talk to you, because I have to use the little Dungeon Master's room. I'm old, so take it away. I'll be right back, guys.
All right.
Last 20 minutes of the book, I believe Dresden has found his way to the lake cabin, where we have people doing growing up things in there, which I completely forgot about. My bad. I knew there was scorpions, there was fire, there was magic, there was a fight. I forgot about the other stuff, and I am sorry. I'm really sorry.
Most of the stuff I hear people talking about is much worse.
It's one thing to hear it, and it's another thing when you get recommended to read it.
That's true.
And I will apologize for that. I came upon the book. I came upon the book later in life, so it was a whole different.
Yeah.
issue for me. So last 3 minutes. What do you think of the Shadow? What was it? The Shadow Maker? The Shadow? The main bad guy? Yeah.
Yeah. Victor was his name?
Yeah.
Yeah. I liked him. I knew, I think I said this last time, is I knew that there was something more. Because whenever it seemed like he was getting there, it always seemed like whoever he was thinking it just couldn't be. It would be ignoring the fact that there was like 4 hours left, or 3, or even 1 hour left. Or I think it was 1.5 hours left when it was the last one. But
Right.
by the time you get to these red herrings, it's not only is there so much of the book left, but also it's just not the. You can tell that they're not the type of person that you would make the main bad guy, especially later on into the encounter.
Right. No, I completely agree. I think I like the Dresden Files, especially the first one, because Jim Butcher does not make him seem like Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah.
He's able to pick up the pieces, but he doesn't necessarily see where they lay down all at once. It takes him. He gets it. It just takes him a little while to get there.
Yeah.
What did he? One of my favorite characters out of the first book is Tutu.
Yeah.
The little fairy. I can.
Yeah.
I'm weird. I know. I like Dresden, but So, did the book end the way that you thought it should?
I think so. I mean, once I got to around the halfway point, that's not obviously not how I expected it to end because I wasn't aware of all these pieces. But I wanted it to end around, not exactly, but similar.
Well, Morgan becomes. Well, Morgan's Morgan. Morgan is definitely Morgan. I knew I had a friend's dad that was exactly the same way, so I know that personality. So, the last of the book, Dresden is kind of. Let's see, I'm trying to think of the last book. Morgan pulls Dresden out of the burning fire.
Yeah.
Oh no, there was that one little loophole. Did you catch the rules of magic that they have in the book where you basically can't kill somebody unless it's in self-defense with magic?
Yeah.
He correct me if I'm wrong, but he kind of got around with it when he emptied the gun into the guy.
Yeah.
Because the entire book, he had Morgan basically up his ass, and if I catch you using magic against somebody, I'll execute you on the spot. Well, I didn't use magic. I emptied my gun. I emptied my gun into him. Which I'm not promoting violence, but
I mean, in that situation, it's kind of necessary.
You're what, 15 years old?
Around there, yeah.
15 years old. I guess this is an odd question to ask you. I kind of want to get your opinion of it. I know that your dad has set you down and given you the conversations about drugs and how evil they are. He's just. What did you think of Third Eye, the drug? I thought it was a very unique way to do that.
Yeah, it was. I mean, at the beginning, obviously, it's trying to be like it just makes you crazy. It's just a random new hallucinogenic drug that some guys cooked up in their lab.
Right.
But when they start hinting that it might actually be something real, I mean, it kind of it implies it, but it kind of basically just says it that how could he have known that? It can't just be a coincidence that he sees something while on the drug that is actually there.
The wizard's sight, the third eye that the wizards get when they're able to do that. I think that would be novel, and B, I would never use it. Do you really want to see the true essence of somebody, especially if somebody you care about?
I don't know what that really means, so probably not.
the essence. Every time he's used in later books, he explains it as you see who they are. Like if you're a good person, and I'm not going to say who, but if they're a good person, they show up like as an amazing angel with armor and a halo. Or if they're a bad person, they show up dirty and ucky with oil and grease and that type. That's what I'm saying about the essence of a person. Is
All right, that makes sense.
the third eye will the drug basically lets you see the unfiltered version of us. That's what the drug does. It shows you the unfiltered version of the world. So you see the magical, the essence of people, so forth and so on. That terrifies me. That
kind of like a toned down DMT.
Yeah. Well, we're talking about, as I said to your son, it's kind of weird for me to talk to him as young as he is about this, but I want to know what his opinion was on the third eye drug. Because it's not the typical. We've all seen movies. We watch books. We see TV shows. There's drug uses on some of them, not all of them, but there's always, there's always
drugs something.
Drugs are horrible. I don't recommend anybody to do them. I don't take painkillers because I know my personality. I just don't do it. So, with that being said, I thought the third eye was a very interesting way to put a new twist on a horrible concept, giving the people the ability to have a third eye. Then I'm terrified of the concept. I do not want to see the essence of the world. I have a general idea what this world's full of, and I don't want to be proven right.
Yeah, there's a reason why I'm hanging out with DM James at 4:00 in the morning. Because me and Sleep, we rarely hang out together. Let's put it that way.
It's not like I'm not there. I'm not out there with you, there, brother.
Yeah. Well, you weren't there last night. Where the hell were you, man? No, I wasn't even on his show. I was just chatting.
I was chatting, and I had company come over.
Oh yeah. That's right. I didn't join his show because I was, at first after the game I was on an adrenaline high. I asked the little guy for a couple hours.
Yeah, he was twitching.
My restless knee and my sword arm were.
No, his head. Was twitching.
Yeah, and when that finally wore down and real life, creeped back into my field of vision, I was pretty tuckered out. But James was rolling, and it's like, oh man, his other chatter, guests had bailed on him. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna hang out with James because he's a great guy, and I want to hang out with him in real life one of these days. So I hung down with him as much as I could, and then I'm like, hey man, if you see me stop chatting, I forget what I said, but I'm fading fast here, man. And I woke up and my device was still on his show, and he went on for another couple hours, and I'm just like, oh man, I wish I could have been awake, but time difference and everything else, and
he had Chandra on there. He had Chandra on there. He had Bruce on there. It was a good show for bits I get to watch. Anyways, so that's more or less we talked about the last 20 minutes of the first book was Dresden.
You get to the end?
The Dresden gets to the pardon from Morgan. He gets the doom of Douglas taken off of him. The bad guy gets what he has coming to him. Now, like I said, we're only going to talk about the first half of Full Moon because of issues you guys were having. I understand. Yeah. I don't cheat. I am lucky enough to have Audible. I have the access to Audible, and it gives you 1 free credit a month. So I've just been piling on books that I want to read. That's why I have a large collection of Audible.
Yeah, no, I for the kind of money that I would end up spending on Audible, I'm just gonna when this is over, I'm gonna look up a book lot of the Dresden books, because somewhere out there there's some dumbass who doesn't want their books anymore, and I'll take them off their hands, at nickels on the dollar or something like that. And I'll just need a list from you if you got the time to tell me which are the next 5, 6 or so books. Make sure I get those.
I will send you a list. You don't need to worry about that. And at some point, you need to send me a list of books that you want me to read, and we'll have the non-gay version of a book club. Yeah, I said that. I'm in a good mood. I'm
It's Pride
sorry.
Month. It's Pride Month. Suck it up, guys. Oh, did I say that too?
I got the game
Wait, I
last
forgot.
night. I get to hang out with two of my favorite people today. It's been a good, been good a weekend. All right, let's talk about the characters that were introduced in the new book. We have the FBI agents, Boo. I'm not
Go
saying
and do your
why.
job, guys.
Yeah, go
The
do
real
your job.
The ones we want, the jobs we want you to do, not the jobs that you guys seem to can't. Your particular video addiction. Let's cut that crap out and go back to doing what we pay you for.
We have Harley McFinn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We have Tara West.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. She's got something going on. I don't know what it is quite. Well, that's not true. I do know what it is, but we'll talk about that on part 2.
Yeah, I don't like her.
You don't like Tara West?
No. My favorite hottie, if there was such a thing in the books, would be the reporter for the National Enquirer type news publication. She would be my choice, but I know she's a red herring, or at least she appears to be. But whatever. Every good romance story I've ever watched has that girl that the hero hooks up with, but it ain't gonna last kind of thing.
I got much farther in than him on the last few chapters, but I'll save what I have to say till.
Part two.
Don't forget, I've actually.
Part 2.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah.
I've actually, this is my second time listening to this book. I made it past where he is. I just don't remember it as clearly. That's why I went through it again, and I didn't get to the end the first time. I'm still not to the end the second time.
And then the video was removed.
Right. So I know that, I know certain things that are going to happen, so to speak. So you don't feel like you need to keep.
No, it's about how I would like this one to end.
Oh, okay. Well, let's hear it.
Okay, they drop a nuke on the city. That's
but then that
Just
would affect.
because you have a bias against Chicago does not equal a nuke to the city. I could say
Yeah,
the same thing about Los Angeles. Just
Oh,
we
because
should
I
nuke
think
Los
Los Angeles needs to be cleaned up or turned into a great big glass parking lot doesn't mean that there's not good people
Not
living there.
He's really not wrong.
You are correct.
I would take one for the team. I think not really having much choice as to where I could run to should a place only 100 miles from where I'm sitting get glassified. At least I'd be happy, knowing that I didn't go alone. I don't know. But yeah, we're not advocating for violence.
No.
So if Russia or China is listening, we're not advocating for violence. We don't want these cities to be glassified. We just want them, wake up and just
Right.
wake up.
All right, so there is a new character. I'm not cheating, but I'm cheating. I'm looking at my Wikipedia, so I'm making sure I get all the names correctly.
Yes.
All right. So
Her name's Kim, right? Kim.
What?
That's the reporter's name, Kim.
So isn't that the name of the girl who dies?
Oh yeah. That's the girl who died.
The name of the girl who dies.
Yeah.
Why can't I remember her name? It's all those drugs I did in the '60s.
It's all the drinking
When I was
did in the
3.
2000s. So,
I thought you were.
anywho, all right, there's Tara West. Then there's the Alphas. Boy, if there was ever a gang name back in the 80s, it had to be the Alphas. Jesus. That's you. We're the Alphas. There's even comic book characters that take that name. What a horrible name for a group.
The worst name.
Yeah, he needs to work a little harder on some of the names of things like that. I like the Full Moon Garage, really. Wolf Park, come on, really. Just get your Google Maps out and use a real forest. Maybe it is a real forest, but
Ironically, if you look on Google Map, the place that he opened the garage, the biker garage is actually a real bike shop. It's a real place. It's just not called that for obvious reasons. I thought that was kind of cool. So with that being said, let's see. We have Billy. Well, there's Billy in Georgia of the Alphas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The biker group name is called the Street Wolves. Once again, that's kind of right here.
Okay.
Yeah. Then we have the unfathomable new detective, Rudolph.
Yeah. Really? Has anybody actually named their child Rudolph in the last 50 years in the United States?
I know a guy named Jim Rudolph I went to high school with, but he was German.
And that's his last name? And you Rudolph don't get to pick your child?
Well, Rudolph is this guy's last name too, so I thought it was kind of funny when I read that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because if it's a first name, your parents need to be slapped. Because seriously, can you imagine the kind of hell that child would go through every December for the rest of his damn life?
Well, Rudolph was a popular German name for a long time, like Otto. You know.
Yeah.
I knew an Otto.
It's names are names, especially if it's a last name. We can't, we could change our first names, but it kind of, when it comes to last names, and this is not exactly doing anything with what we're talking about. This is just my opinion. I don't think it's right for a person to change their last name because they're spitting on all the people before them. Because
what if they deserve to be spit on?
Well, I like to think there's a couple good people in everybody's families. I could be wrong. Like most things, what the hell do I know? Rodriguez. Her last name is Rodriguez. The
reporter.
Reporter. Yeah. Sorry, it just took me a second to get there. Anyways, yeah. So, Rodriguez. Yeah. I don't have that many Spanish speaking or Spanish people in my life. So when it comes to Spanish last names, they don't normally just stick. And it's not a racial thing. It's just, I'm not around. It's one of those things. If you're not around it, you don't hear it all the time. It doesn't stick. Does that make sense? Or am I just a bad person?
Well, you got to give us more choices. Maybe multiple choice.
Yeah.
A,
Maybe. Am I just a horrible person? We don't want to say yes, but yes. Anyway, so then we have the returning crew. Detective, my favorite, Lieutenant Kerry Murphy. Of course, one Harry Dresden. You got gentleman. Where is his name? Gentleman Marconi.
John Marconi.
Yeah, I kind of like him. I like him as a bad guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, he's a little too stereotypical in the way that he's got connections. They got connections all the way up to Washington. Yeah.
I grew up reading Spider-Man.
When I was a kid, to be that connected. I mean, I would rather, to be honest, I would rather see him start out a little lower level on the criminal food chain, and as the story goes on, work his way up. That would have been more interesting instead of, this guy's already, more powerful than the Marvel Universe Kingpin. This guy is, top of the food chain. That's
where I was going to go with that. I think he is the Marvel's Kingpin. Because, when I was growing up and read comic books, I still read comic books, but whenever it was a Daredevil or Spider-Man comic that featured the Deadpin, Kingpin, I always enjoyed him because I appreciate a good bad guy. A good bad guy should be damn near untouchable.
Yeah.
Well, the big guys, the lower levels, obviously they got to be
Yeah,
flunkies.
but that's
But at least with Kingpin, he had some weaknesses. This guy seems to have no weakness whatsoever. He's perfect looking. He's perfectly connected, perfectly wealthy. Where's his weakness?
As we get later into the series, you'll find them. I promise you that. As we get later into the series, they'll be a little bit more well known. He's still, Jim Butcher's still fleshing out his character still at this point. So, and this is not the Gentleman Marcone show. This is the Dresden File, Dresden show. So, it's just something to build on for later. Now on the D&D side, I want to go with a little bit here, because this is mainly what we talk about a lot anymore. What we mainly talk about is the summoning of the demon to get more information.
Yeah.
You know that part I'm talking about?
Yeah,
absolutely.
yes.
The one that he summoned.
Where he has to give up a name. Where he has to give up one of his names.
Right.
Yeah.
I actually like that. I like once somebody with magic abilities gets your full name spoken from your mouth, they have power over you, because names have power. That's how I
absolutely except you know what else has power?
What?
The internet.
Yeah, but we're talking about a demon, not some flunky off the street.
Right, but said demon would have flunkies off the street, and he could advise them on how to get said names, or at least all but that one name. You know what I mean?
I'll actually have to look up myself on. I hate doing that. I'll have to look myself up on the internet, see how much of my name I could actually get off the internet.
Right, because if it's taking place, roughly the time that it was written, then that was still a thing, and if not, the demon could order his flunky to pay the $35 and do a background search that would bring up everything.
Could you do a background? I'll have to fall onto your expert seat. Could you do a background check on somebody off the internet in 2001?
Yes.
Did not know that. When I want to know something, I go to public records, which is normally the courthouse or the library. But I'm old fashioned. I really don't like using the almighty internet. I'm old fashioned.
Yeah. And if you couldn't, let's say for argument's sake that you could not get it off the internet, then I guarantee you could get it through a private investigation agency or law enforcement. They would have it. And maybe they wouldn't have his full name, but I guarantee you they will have his first, last, and middle name as per birth certificates, etc. Anywhere that it's written, because who names their child something and doesn't teach that to them until they're like 18 or 20? Nobody. Everybody teaches the child his full name, and maybe at 13 or some weird age like that, you go, son, your real name? Well, you got this hidden name that only we know about, and you're not allowed to tell anybody, because if they do get this name, they'll steal your soul. Okay?
Yeah. I agree. I agree with you on that
it's
one.
A little, in any other kind of environment, even if you were writing the story like 50 years ago, then I would buy it. But I'm just like, really? I could go right now and find I could literally go on the internet right now and find Harry Dresden's full name. You know what I mean? It's I could find Butcher's real name.
Right. Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I'm thinking of real life. I'm not going back to the book. I mean, I only use my full name, which I'm not going to air on here, only has one middle name, where my daughter has two middle names. Right. And I know other families where the names just go on fucking forever, but it's a family, it's a culture family thing.
And you can get those records.
Interesting. Okay, good to know.
Hell, Ancestry.com does it for a living, and they've been around for quite a while.
I'll have to keep that in mind. Okay, so we have Dresden, we have Lieutenant Murphy Karen, we got the mobster. Who else is coming back? Oh yes, and there is well, she is.
You know, hold on, one other thing. This thing also bothered me about the name and the demon. As soon as the demon said, "I want to know your name,"
yeah,
you know this demon wants to kill you. You just gave him a bullet and a gun. Or maybe you just gave him the bullet, or you just gave him the gun, but you know he wants to kill you, and you go along with it anyways. I'd be like, oh, you know what? Hang up on that phone call. I'm going to call some other demon that maybe is not so, hot to get me dead. It just made me think that this guy cannot be that desperate that he's willing to pretty much guarantee his death at the hands of that demon he's talking to later on down the road for this information that's probably going to be suspect to begin with, because that demon wants to kill him.
That's fair. Now,
or worse.
Or worse. Yes.
There's much more death. Yeah. Hold on. This one. Actually, no, never mind. This doesn't bother me. What I was going to say is, I believe that there was other things involved than just that. First off, you're calling a demon, so why would you expect them to do anything other than want to take your soul? And also, I believe, correct me if I'm mistaken, that they specifically wanted to get his soul, but also that, I mean, you're saying that if the demon asks for your name, then immediately stop. But it seems like no matter what demon you try to get answers from, they all want the same thing from this guy.
Yeah.
At least that's what it seemed like when I was.
Well, that is kind of their job.
They all
to go
want
out and collect souls. Sure.
Yeah, they all want.
Right,
to get
but no, this
soul,
guy kind of had it in for him. It seemed, that there's a whole lot of things a demon could ask for that would just kind of ensure your damnation later on, as opposed to just saying, well, I pretty much want you in my neighborhood in hell so that I can torment you personally for this information. It's it just seemed a little bit more personal.
Well,
or too personal.
Well, and remember at the end he mentions his mother.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, then he mentions the mom. See, that's the problem with dealing with bad people. They always have a little bit more cheese on the hook that can drag you in for. That's why we try not to deal with bad people. But from a fantasy, Dungeons & Dragons, Pathfinder, whatever, I don't know if you'd summon demons in Traveler. I hope not. That'd be horrible.
I'm actually working on it. Thanks to Shauner. He put me into a Cthulhu Traveler book that I'm searching for now.
Yeah, we'll get into Cthulhu here in a little bit, maybe off stream, because I have a couple ideas. I need to stop reading books and start writing out a storyline, because I'm starting writing down ideas. I'm like, wait, this sounds like a book or a movie I've seen. Crap, you can't do it this way. But anyways, now summoning the demon. Let's say you're summoning a demon. You have to draw a circle. You have to have a summoning circle in D&D to summon one. If you were in a bad situation, I know your dad wouldn't, because he plays a lawful paladin. Paladins don't do naughty things like this.
I used to play mostly wizards, right?
Play mainly what?
Wizards.
Wizards? Okay. Would you, as a wizard, when you play a wizard? I like to think you'd play good characters. I could be wrong. I don't think. Would you summon a demon for information if you absolutely had no other resources, or would you just try to figure it out for yourself?
Demons would definitely be last on the list of resources.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I have had characters that have done so in the past.
How do
But
you handle that?
It usually wasn't for information, though. It was for other purposes, which I'm not giving anybody any ideas, so don't summon demons. It's just really wrong.
Yeah.
It's really, really, really bad. Okay.
Very question is, would you use something like Bob? Bob, who is an air elemental, but just seems to know a lot about a lot. Well, and who is a pervert, but I can overlook the pervert. I would not have any friends if I disagreed with perverts. Well, to a certain degree. So, what about Bob? Would you have something like Bob in your D&D game?
Have had before, yeah, many times, many different versions, if you will, of things like that. You know, between magic mirrors, you know, mirror on the wall. I've done that countless times, and genies, Efreet.
By the way, how did those two figs come out? I haven't seen them yet.
We'll show them in just a moment.
Got
to dig them out. Yeah, they're behind you.
Well, is there a video? Or, yeah, is there a video I could watch? There's a video that the people that are in chat and will be in watch this video later could see those. And which video would that be?
It would be was it April?
It was last month, correct?
Yeah, it was me.
Yeah, it wasn't. It was the Sunday show-off show.
All right, look for a Sunday show off. I tell you what, between that fire elemental I got to see last night during yesterday's game, something that Jack makes with the glue gun, and the other things that these guys paint, they're absolutely amazing. You got to give these guys much love on their creative aspect, because it beats the hell out of anything I can do.
Yeah, the hot glue elementals are really easy to make. You need a hot glue gun and a tea light, and you'll be able to come up with something far cooler, maybe not better sculpting wise in some of the ways they choose to make their fire elementals. But if you just want the typical old fashioned, a fire elemental, just a big pile of fire that's got arms and a kind of a head, hot glue gun, tea light.
I think I had one at one point.
Your players will be absolutely amazed when you drop that on the table and it starts flickering on the actual table.
Stunning. I think it would be cool. Honestly, I think what you guys do with your craft show is absolutely amazing, but that's just me, in my humble opinion. Now, going back to the game, he's talking to the demon for information about what's going on. Would I recommend using a demon? No. There's just too many ifs to that scenario that I would recommend. Would I run a campaign where the players want to summon a demon? Sure. That's their asses on the line, and I'm just the DM.
I would tend to keep that out of the players' hands for as long as possible.
That's a higher level. That's a higher level summoning to begin with, so they're up there.
I wouldn't even tempt them with the magic, like the scroll or anything like that would allow them to do that. And if they actually ask for it and want to go look for it, then I would use that as an opportunity to have them, have to deal with some demonic cult and understand the error of the ways of summoning anything that nasty. It's, you might as well just hand me your character sheet, because you've pretty much condemned your soul to the nether regions at some point in the future. It's just inexcusable and should be left in the hands of the bad guys to show the players just how bad the bad guys are.
I completely agree with that.
Yeah, there's a lot of,
go for
it. There's I'm sure countless player groups and parties and player characters out there that think they're going to get the upper hand on that, but they never should. If you're a good DM, they should never get the upper hand on a demon. They should just maybe think they have, but in reality, no. It demeans the power levels behind such an entity and the absolute danger to one's mortal soul.
I completely agree. I really do. So he summons the demon. The demon, of course, has a price. He offered a bunch of other things like a newborn child or so forth and so on, and they settled on his name. You know there's going to be some kind of price tag at the end of the conversation either way. So if you DM it, I'd make sure the players know afterwards or during that. Wait, we're not going to get our information for free. There should be some kind of price tag to it because you're like I said, you're summoning a demon. There should always be some kind of price tag at the end. And I want to say this really quick. The people in chat, please say hi. If you got any questions or any snarky comments, please say them, because if it wasn't for you guys in the chat, it would just be me, Shadow, and Sun talking to each other, and we could do this on the phone. So I want to say that
I'm not seeing anybody in the chat.
who's
in the chat?
No one's in chat. There's just 2 people watching. I'm trying to get some interaction. That's what I'm trying to do.
Hey, guys. Okay.
All right. So
no, I'm one of them.
All right. Oh, so there's 2 people, 1 person in chat. Awesome. Yay. All right. So we're talking about the demon. I want to break down a little bit of the story. I'm going to go down to a little bit of story. So Dresden meets the young apprentice in the McAnally's. McAnally's sounds like the place I want to go eat at. It sounds amazing, and I could always go for a good steak sandwich. I don't know about you two, but I can always go.
The food sounds more appetizing than the restaurant.
I don't know. It does, but in the best kind of way. I'm weird. The way he describes the tavern or bar, wherever it is, the restaurant, with the pillars that have ancient, stories of fairy tales chiseled on the pillars and everything. It just sounds really cool to me. I mean, it might not be my favorite Friday night place to go, but in the middle of the afternoon where there's no one there, it might be a pretty cool place to check out.
Yeah, from what I recall, there was no pool table, so.
Oh, something else we have in common there, Shadow. Anyways. Wow, man. You never spent any time in Illinois, right?
Not a second.
Just making sure. We seem to have a lot of things in common.
Well, my father was born in Champaign, and my mom and dad met at the University of Illinois.
Oh, U of I. Nice. I went there on a rugby scholarship, but that's different conversation. Now, I was hinting that you could be my dad with as much. That's why I asked if you're spending time in Illinois. So we're yeah, not probable. Anyways, so he's having a conversation with the young apprentice. So I'm going to switch this into more of a D&D novel conversation. I want to do the mixed match. If you guys are cool with that?
Sure.
Yeah.
Max, not Max, Jesus. Jack, I know you play. You have, with your dad, you got to play something. You got to be in the RP world a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. That right there is good parenting. Good parenting there, Shadow. Anyways, so Kim Delaney is talking to Dresden about summoning circles. Now, there are summoning circles in most RPG fantasies. Not a lot of players, a lot of DMs use them. A lot of players shy away from them. I understand. Now,
yeah.
Then the question is, she's asking, what's the different type of summoning circles out there? Now, as a DM, would you explain them to them if you had a wizard trying to do research on summoning circles? Would it matter on what level he was, on what access of education he can get on summoning circles?
Depends on the game. Palladium, almost all the Palladium games, you start out with them. If you're a wizard, even if you're playing in a superhero world, you start out with them.
Oh, hold on, I got somebody actually showed up in chat. Hi, I just turned in. I don't know much about the Dresdens. How often do you do book club type discussions? And what is going to be the next book? Well, unless these two young gentlemen pick out a book, the next book will be The Grave Peril on the Dresden Files. I see that you are a Conan fan by your thumb tag. I have not read much of the Conan books, but if you're interested, I know somebody in this this panel who's a big Conan fan, and he would probably be awesomely fond of us doing a book review on the on the Conan books, and I'd be more than willing to do that.
I actually did a review. I actually did a review of the very first Conan novel a couple months back. If you look through our videos, it was a couple of months ago, but I did a review on the first one. But I have no problem doing it again with my son and the big guy over there.
I mean, I was there, but
right. He did the camera work. Give us a few minutes to mosey on through this video, and then we'll discuss it. If you have any suggestions on a book you'd like to see us review, we also do movie reviews here on this show with the Cigar DM. But if you want to throw something in the comment section, we can mull that over while we're talking about Dresden. Because next week we're going to do probably something different to give us a little bit more time to prepare for the part 2 of Dresden. And before we go on to the third book of Dresden, I want to actually get it in book form, which will take us a little while longer to get through it.
Yeah.
But I've seen you before, Mark. We inhabit the same circles, so it's good to have you in the chat.
Please like and prescribe to me, and later on I will throw up in chat Shadow, if you're not already subscribed to Shadow and Son's videos, because they are the best parent and child duel I've seen on YouTube in a long time.
Thank you.
Now,
No, we're the best.
Well, I would.
No, they're better. They're better than us.
So,
Does
Objectively,
that sound like me? Does that honestly sound like me?
it does not sound like you. You don't like
okay. So back on topic.
Damn, shots fired.
We're already an
Wow.
hour into this one. We already an hour into this one. Before I go any further, just depending on timeline, how much time do you have to spare today? Where we can, if we go a little bit over 2 hours, is that okay with you guys?
It's always
Certainly.
okay. I'm just gonna have to
Okay.
pee again.
That sounds like a you problem, not a me problem.
Yeah.
I'm already through 2.5 water bottles just in this show alone.
No.
No, I started this one.
All right. So Mark, if you got any questions on the Dresden Files, I recommend you reading them. And of course, I'm not saying I'm a Dresden expert by any stretch of the imaginations, but I can answer any questions on the last book and this book that you have. I do recommend you reading them by Jim Butcher. They are a great fantasy noir detective story.
Noir.
Anyway, so he's talking
When I
to.
go noir, I'd be. I don't think I would describe it like that. It's a little
mystery?
too. Yeah. It's a little too modern to be noir, and it's really not that dark.
Oh, it gets there, but that's besides. We'll get into that later on with the next couple books. All right, so he's talking to her, and she's asking about summoning circles, and I kind of asked this: how far down the line would you let your characters? Thank you kindly. How far down the line would you let your characters? Let's say level 5. Level 5 is right when the wizard starts to become more wizardy. Would you let
what level is protection from evil 10-foot radius?
That's a good question.
Oh, you looked it up. I'm gonna be right back.
Whenever we're doing these, we always just have stacks of water bottles surrounding us. So, yeah. At least it's not as bad as me having a collection.
Protection against evil.
Collection.
Yeah, no, I get it. I have a stack of beer bottles next to bottles of water next to my bed. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. Oftentimes, what happens is that I get a water bottle and I just put it behind my bed, and I drink from it a few times, and then I wake up, don't remove it, and then forget about it. And if I ever do remember it, I don't do anything about it until they just stack up, and we're running out of water bottles, and someone remembers, "Don't you have some?" And I pull out 5.
It happens that way.
Yeah.
Protection from evil. It starts at first level, and I think it just gets more powerful as you go up in levels. But I'll wait till your dad gets back. Yeah, we found out yesterday why Connell does not play Wizards. I don't do it. Don't make me do it. Are you a werewolf fan by chance? I mean, that's the main topic. That's one of the main key things. You're not.
I mean, I like them in the story, but I'm not particularly a fan of werewolves.
Interesting. That was always my favorite monster movies growing up. Was a good werewolf movie. Because
we don't do the Twilight werewolf
I'm not
vampire.
talking about Twilight. I'm talking
about. Well, no, the whole. Which side are you on? Are you on the werewolf side? Are you on the vampire side? We're on the side that hunts them down regardless, and just stakes them or silver bullets them. That's
see, I like werewolves. I think werewolves are misplayed in D&D. I don't think they have to be chaotic evil. I think they're just chaotic neutral.
I think when they are in werewolf form, they should be chaotic evil. They have absolutely no control over themselves, and they are monsters with but one goal, and that's to cause as much destruction as possible. Now, I suppose they could be neutral evil if that's the way you want to look at the alignments, but any sort of lawful evil or aberrant, as per Palladium, no. They're vicious, bloodthirsty monsters with what, 1, maybe 2 goals, maybe 3, to propagate the species being the 3rd. They're just bent on destruction. And
well, there's 2 types. We'll get into that here in a second.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just was curious. Now,
what are you doing?
To answer your question, protection from evil starts at first level, and it gets stronger as you level up. The higher level.
The 10-foot radius is a circle right off the bat. So that's the easy one. But that's a protection circle. There are summoning circles. There are entrapment circles. There are.
Weren't they?
Voice change much?
Yeah, weren't they entrapment circles?
Yeah, technically the way that they're using this book, he uses the entrapment circles. Yeah. Now he does that. He tells her to a certain degree, and she keeps pushing him on for more and more information, which he is reluctant to give because, well, that's just being smart. You don't want a kid. If
he was really smart, he would have told her, "Oh, by the way, because you asked, I now have to go to my higher ups and inform them that you now are curious about these things, and therefore you're going to be on a list. So if any weird shit happens, they're going to not come to me. They're going to go to you because what you want to do? What most people don't believe in that kind of stuff to begin with, and then there's people who pretend to believe in it or want to believe in it, what I'm talking about. And then there's the people who believe in it too much, and she's of the latter category, and therefore instantly a danger.
Well, if you're not allowed to talk about them?
To a certain degree, there is the we haven't done the 7 laws of magic. Let me thumb through that really quick. Thou shall not. Okay, for magic, thou shall not kill. That's a big one. That one gets you. That one is can get you in trouble. Thou shall
Yeah.
not transform others. Do not turn your buddy into a ferret. Nothing good comes out of it, unlike in Harry Potter.
I don't know.
Thou shalt not invade another's mind. That's a good one. You should never mess with somebody else's mind magically.
Oh, man.
Thou shalt not enthrall another person, basically mentally
Enslaved.
Yeah.
enslave them. Yeah, thank you. There was a wordage I was trying to get around, but anyways, thou shalt not reach beyond the border of life.
No raising the dead. Got it. I don't
No
like doing it.
necromancy.
Not pretty.
Thou shalt not swim against the current of time. No time traveling. Sorry, Doc Brown, but that's a no-no.
Says it can't be done.
Thou shalt not open the outer gate. Now, when they say the outer gate, it really hasn't been approached much in the novels. Well, it hasn't, but it refers as the old one, Cthulhu type nonsense, which is kind of cool.
It actually comes from probably the Necronomicon that was written not by Lovecraft or the Mad Arab from the Lovecraft stories, but there was a book written by a mysterious individual known only as Simon. I've got 2 copies of it. If you guys are curious,
Where is it?
Screw that. Where
Does
it talks
glow
about
red on certain evenings. When there's a full moon, does it start to glow?
Because that copy of the Necronomicon was based obviously on Lovecraft, but this individual wrote a book of spells that is supposed to have taken all the Lovecraftian knowledge and acts as if it was absolutely true and real. And it's a book full of spells that has multiple different gates that you should not open unless you want Cthulhu or Azoth to come and eat your face. But that's clearly what that was inspired by, not just Lovecraft, because Lovecraft really didn't use a lot of gates like we're talking about right now in his actual works, as far as I can.
Now, the way I took that one is my point of view on this one, is she was Dresden's apprentice. He is the teacher and she is the student. So, and it doesn't really get into White Council so much in this book. It doesn't
real quick, Mark, what do you mean by glittery vampires? Because
I don't know what that means.
Because I've got my own images rolling around in my head, but could you expound upon that, just for shits and giggles?
To go on that thought really quick, I never had so much of a problem with the glittering vampire. I thought it was silly, but wasn't. I could think of worse. When I think of worse, I think of the Japanese version of werewolf that has 2 buck teeth that are fangs and it hops around like a damn rabbit. To me, something that has all the abilities of a normal vampire, they can walk around in sunlight, and the worst thing about them is they glitter. That's still more terrifying to me than one that hops around like a damn rabbit, has 2 buck teeth that are fang. That's just where I stand. I could be wrong.
So a glittery vampire is just a vampire that instead of dying in the light, just shines
like a diamond. It's actually the vampire that style of vampire does come from a branch of a Native American mythology, but
sorry, I can't get the stripper guild out of my head right this moment. You have to bear with me.
I know. I trust me, I've had those thoughts myself. Anyways, so until he answers, we'll move on. What I'm saying is anything that she does falls onto him as the teacher. Your student messes up, it's your ass. So it's his discretion on how much information she gets and when and how much. Now, if she's about ready to become a full member of the Wizarding world, the White Council. I believe that she has as much information as he does, but she still needs to go out and do her own research. I think, that's how I've always understood it.
To me, it seemed like she had a bit of a road ahead of her.
No, she could have. So
spoiler.
Yeah. So we go down. She leaves because she's frustrated with Dresden because Dresden didn't give her all the information she needed. And here comes Lieutenant Karen Murphy. Basically, there's a murder scene, and she needs his information. He needs her. He needs her to come check it out.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Now, I'm trying to figure out how to do that in D&D. I was joking about the Twilight show, is what he said. See, he was joking. So if I don't know how to do the whole cop thing, I mean, I do when I run my own Dresden one, but if I'm doing a base Dungeon Dragon Pathfinder fantasy, I don't know how the town guard, the town captain, the city captain comes and talks to the guys. You guys were talking about favorite monsters, etc. No, that's fair. That's fair. I mean, there's a way to role play that one out. I just haven't figured that one out how to do, like, let's say in Bruce's campaign or something like that. You have any thoughts on that, Shadow?
Sorry, I was typing. What?
Jack, you have any thoughts on that?
Sorry, I was saying something to Mark.
Would you use like a city guard or a palace guard?
I mean, it depends where you are. Probably, and it depends on the situation, the gravity of it. If you're in a small village, well, if you're in a small village, then the chance that anyone's there is low. But if you're in a medium-sized town, then it'd probably just be whatever version of a police force that they have, some sort of guard.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're in a higher up area, then yeah, it would be some sort of royal type thing.
I think I agree with you on that. When I have ran a few campaigns where the city guard or the town sheriff has asked the party of adventurers, hey, would you go look into this for me? Yeah, I'll go that route.
Oh, millions of times. Yeah. Absolutely. That's probably 25% of where PCs would get their current quest or mission or adventure idea or hook from is the local authorities. Just especially in the old days, where, like, especially AD&D or lower, where everybody in the world, for the most part, who wasn't either military or an adventurer or one of the character classes, was like what they called zero level humans. Your bartenders, your cooks, your chefs, your porters, your laborers, your clerks and librarians, and all those people were what were called zero level humans or zero level individuals, and that meant they had from 1 to maybe 8 hit points, and regardless of age, and they were wherever they were in their career in life, they weren't getting any better. They were just kind of like bit players, and you're not going to be sending those kinds of individuals down into the sewers or to investigate a graveyard or the haunted lighthouse or the ruins outside of town. You just don't send those people unless you send hundreds of those people, which I think would actually be a fun adventure where you literally go into a dungeon with an army. There's this big dungeon, and the king's had enough. He's just sending in the army.
That's a number. I mean, yeah.
So every time you open a door, you've got 80 dudes standing waiting to charge in. And just the beholder's just like, and he just falls. He may take out 10 or 20 of them, but when you're done, there's just beholder everywhere. because he's
Gotcha.
only, you know, but that's just been a dream of mine.
That'd be cool. So Lieutenant Murphy takes Dresden to a tavern that is mentioned in the first book that's owned by the mob guy. And there is a dead body in there. And as he's looking around, he starts to pick up things,
Clues.
Yeah.
clues. Now he sees
That's what
wolf
calls.
calls. He sees wolf prints. He's thinking it's a large. There's just too many things here that says it's not a large animal of some sort.
It's a larger.
Dire. Let's say a dire animal of some sort.
Yeah.
So, hold on. Jade just texted me. I'm going to see if I can browbeat him into joining us because he's a Dresden fanatic himself. So, as he's doing information, after he gets all the information he could possibly get, he goes down to his lab. All wizards should have a wizard laboratory because where else do they get their research from? I mean, back in the old day of D&D, you had to go out and collect magical components for your spells. Like if you want to cast Fireball, you need bat dung and something else. I don't exactly remember off the top of my head, but Fireball is everybody's favorite spell. Sulfur. All right. So there's got to be a place where you keep all this bat dung and sulfur, and I think it would be a wizard's lab. I could be wrong. I personally don't want to carry around mountains of bat dung. I'm kind of
or like for spider climb, where I think in one of the old books you actually had to eat a live spider, which to me would be like, I guess I'm never casting that spell, am I?
Which one was that one?
Spider climb.
Yeah, that's a hard no.
Or even if you had to keep it, in a spell component case, that's how I got to manage that. Keep the spider alive, but on my person. And what if I want to cast that spell like, half a dozen times throughout the course of a dungeon? So I'm walking around with a small spider farm on me. Yeah, I don't want to be a wizard.
No, I'd
change my mind.
I would have the components at the lab, and I would have X amount of everything preset. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So Mike is busy today, so we will not be joined by. Jade. Jade is busy today, so we will not be joined by him. It's fine. I'll keep you two all to myself.
Oh, I hope he's watching anyways.
Oh yeah, he's doing something, but I'm sure he'll watch us at some point. Okay, so he goes back to his lab and he's talking to Bob. Bob is, like I said before, is one of my favorite characters. I mean, especially if you can get the audible version with with James Master as the narrator. He just brings Bob to life so much, and it's amazing. Then Bob goes and tells him, well, sounds like a werewolf. And Dresden's like, how many werewolves are there? Do you guys remember how many werewolves that there are? Types of different werewolves? Did you know there's that many type of werewolves out there?
I did not.
I don't remember the number, but
Five?
I am aware that there are other types.
There is a shapeshifter. There is a Hexenwolf. There is the Lugaroo, which Lugaroo is the most common werewolf that we see in movies. It's like the old black and white werewolf movie, Wolfman movie. That's a Lugaroo. Then there are, I said shapeshifters, Hexenwolves, Lugaroo, and oh God, what was the last one? Berserkers. Now, berserkers are a very interesting type of werewolf. I at least thought they were an interesting werewolf. It is the werewolf that berserkers is something the Vikings had in their ranks. Berserkers, where they basically have the spirit of the animal within their normal human body that made them a little bit extra stronger, or whatever, a little bit more wild. That's what the biker gang was. The biker gang was berserkers.
Yeah.
Where Luke LaRue, the Luke LaRue was interesting. I never thought of it that way, but the Luke LaRue, the Curse of the Werewolf, where Luke LaRue's come from.
Mhm.
Because some powerful being in the book, it was I believe it was a Saint Patrick from Ireland, bastard, cursed makes Finn's family to one of every male member of whatever to become a Luke LaRue, to become the Wolf Man. And I think if it isn't that pretense, yes, I completely agree with you there, Shadow. I think I think that would be an evil one, because you're just, I wouldn't even say evil, because it's just a pure animal, just a huge animal. Animals are not evil. I mean, when a lioness hunts for prey, it's to feed. It's not, it's not just to cause damage. When I say, in my mind, evil is your orcs and monster races. Not saying a Luke LaRue is not a monster.
Or any other animal that plays with its food.
Well, cats play with their food, dogs play with their food, and we allow these creatures in our houses. So I don't think I would ever say that they're evil. I say they react neutral. It's just you don't want to be on the wrong end of their fangs or their claws. Then that's the Luke LaRue. Hexen wolves. Hexen wolves are very interesting ones because they have a magical item that lets them turn into a wolf, into a dire wolf.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Then you got shapeshifter. Shapeshifters are a lot of the ones from you see in Native American mythology where they turn into animals.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the berserker. So those are really. What was that?
Wasn't there also one where someone else turns you into a werewolf?
That's the curse.
No, not into the Luke LaRue, into just an actual wolf type thing. They turn into that.
I can't think of the name of it. I'm looking at the werewolf. I'm looking at the terms that they use. Skinwalker is one. Shape-shifting, Hexen wolf, Luke LaRue, or the ones he used in did I say Berserker? Yeah, are the ones that they use in. And from a D&D Pathfinder point of view, I kind of can dig that. If you find a magical item that lets you turn into a large dire wolf, that'd be kind of cool. I mean, that's kind of what druids do. They do shape-shifting, but that's kind of what druids do. Like if a wizard makes a belt that has beast shape in it, that would be a Hexen beast. Yeah. And he could just use whatever animal of choice. What do you think, Shadow?
I'm trying to remember. I thought there was another one, but it's not coming to mind. Normally, I really just use the traditional. If you're bit by it and you survive, then you become one. And the original one of those was someone who was cursed, but the part of the curse is the passing on of the lichen disease, as it were.
Lycanthropy?
If you, lycanthropy. But I'm also wondering why he didn't use the lore, or maybe he does later, of werewolf's blood, or the blood of another werewolf to kill a werewolf.
I know there was a thing with the blood, but it was more of a tracking thing.
No.
Or, no.
In werewolf lore,
there's a bunch of them out there.
Well, there's a way to kill the werewolf or a werewolf with something along the lines of the blood of the martyr or something like that. That if you have a weapon that has that, whatever the exact definition of the blood of the martyr is, that blood on that weapon, you can kill them, whether it's their own blood or the blood of someone else who is also a werewolf or was a werewolf or something like that, or one of the victims. Otherwise, you're looking at something that's very close to, being virtually invulnerable.
Well, the Lugaroo, the only thing that stopped the Lugaroo in most movies, books, and other things I've read was always only the silver bullet, which I like the way that he handled the silver bullet. You couldn't just go out and buy a piece of silver and melt it down to be around it. It had to be
Inherited.
Inherited. It had to be, yeah. And there we go.
There we go.
Sorry, folks.
It happened.
It's been an hour. All right. It held for a while.
It's weird to run until there.
So the silver had to be inherited silver.
Yeah.
Never heard that one before.
I like that.
Yeah. Wait, are we past what you got?
No. I know where he's at, and we're not there yet.
Okay.
Well, because for a Dungeons and Dragons type situation, you are almost making them more powerful than a vampire, in the fact that they can't be destroyed except by sunlight and a wooden stake through the heart, or cutting off their head, filling their mouth with communion wafers and holy water, or
I always
possibly
thought
running water.
I always thought werewolves were a tad bit stronger than vampires. I've never
maybe physically,
physically, probably, but
right. But in the overall power level of what a vampire can accomplish, sure, a werewolf could maybe accidentally create an army of werewolves if it was rational enough, which it never can be, to wound a bunch of people and then not kill them, whereas a vampire can literally make an army intentionally.
Well, I think that's the thing. Vampires are smarter. Werewolves are physically stronger.
Right.
And yeah. And the werewolves' ability they kind of go into on the book is wolves period just have so much. Any animal, any predator animal has so much going for them. You can't outrun them most times. You can't really hide from them because they can hear you, smell you. Their sight is better than ours. So a werewolf, I imagine, would just be maxed out, just completely, just turning your stereo up to 100, and there's just no way to really get around them.
Mm-hmm. Right. Unfortunately, though, with things like Dungeons and Dragons and other games, they still have to be quantified, because I don't believe for a second that a werewolf would have the equivalent of storm giant strength.
No. I think they'd be stronger than your average person, though.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Sure. But you have to codify that and rank everything with numbers, etc. And even still, if you're going, because we were talking about this, I think the other day, about fairness and balance.
Right. Yeah, we're talking about last night. Yeah.
There should be an amount of balance or fairness in a game to a point. Not guaranteed equal footing for both player and DM, but if every single encounter you come across is an ancient red dragon, that's wrong. You leave the town, your very first level character, you leave the town, and there's 100 red dragons surrounding the town. That's not right. Correct?
No, that's not right.
Okay, therefore that proves that there should be some sort of balance and fairness. Now, to what end and to what level that is, from the very beginnings of Dungeons and Dragons, there was a concept of monster level fairness versus party level. If you were to make a dungeon in the old books, there was this thing called, because now they have CR. Okay, well, You're making a first level dungeon. You have a first level dungeon. well, here is the official list of first level monsters. You should not be taking monsters off the 9th or 7th or 8th or 6th or 5th. Maybe the 1st through 3rd level monsters.
Just make them a bit weaker.
No. For example, if you've got a
Or
party,
less.
if you have a party of 10 first level characters, they should theoretically be able to handle some 3rd level monsters.
Certainly.
But if those monsters all have immunity to anything but +1 or better magic weapons, then that's unfair, and you know you can't win. Therefore, why play?
Yeah, and I completely agree with that. Well, this is why you try to round your party. You make sure all the major
food groups are covered.
Yes, because
if the dungeon master has no concept of fairness and equality and balance to any extent, it doesn't matter. You walk into the first room of the dungeon, and it's full of storm giants, and the doors fall down behind you, and the camera fades to black because you all die and you have no chance of fighting whatsoever. There has to be something to prevent that. And with werewolf, you have to allow the party to be able to kill the werewolf. If there's literally no way to kill the werewolf, you really shouldn't be putting the werewolf in the adventure, or you should give them ample time to prepare and get said silver bullet, like in the movie Silver Bullet. The only way to kill the werewolf was a silver bullet. The story was about getting and making a silver bullet.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you have to make it. It may be difficult. It may be hard. Silver may be the rarest metal on the planet, and there's only one silver coin, and you've got to go all the way to the other side of the planet to get it. But that's got to be part of, a possibility for that to be a valid monster to throw in the game. Otherwise, you're just saying, okay, I'm going to kill you. Thanks for coming by.
Well, here's the counter argument to that one is I like to think that the party, well, there won't only just be one silver in my, I get where you're going with it.
Would a fireball spell kill the werewolf?
Yeah, well, it will damage it. The Lucaru in the book, wasn't all non-stoppable. It did take damage. It just had more zeros in its HP than let's say the average person does, which it should already have greater HP than a normal person has. Now,
yeah,
we haven't got there yet, and I just remembered the blood part that you were talking about, and we'll get there here soon, either today or next time that we do this. But there was aspects that Dresden could use to shut down the Lucaru. The problem is people, it's not like you're going and taking on a giant. Oh, not a giant. Let's use a owlbear. We all know what owlbear. You know what an owlbear is, right?
Yeah.
It's a crossbreed between an owl and a bear. They're all over in that being an owlbear, right? That is a big creature that can tear you up, right?
Mm-hmm. Right, but if for example a vampire, if you hit him with a fireball and you destroy his body, he turns to smoke and comes back later. With a werewolf, if you hit it with a fireball, is there any amount of fire that will actually kill it? Or will it just somehow slink off and you didn't notice and it comes back the next full moon?
No, it will kill it. You could drop a werewolf down to 0 and it dies, where a vampire turns into smoke and disappears. Even in this book, it is basically pointed out, you could damage it to death, but you better pack a lunch because you're going to be there all day and most of the night. Because it had more HP. So he
could have summoned a storm like the previous villain in the previous book. He could have killed it with just lightning.
If not kill it outright, but in a very bad way. In a very, very bad way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the Lucaru.
Because I've run into games. I've been in games where the referee said, "Oh, you don't have any silver arrows?" or silver bullets or silver crossbow bolts or a silver sword. Oh,
That is
bummer.
just a
You can't
very
kill it. You
unimaginative.
can't hurt
That
it.
is a very unimaginative DM or referee. There is more than one way to
There's
skin
one.
a cat, and that should apply to everything. And I actually recently found out when somebody says skin a cat, they're actually not talking about a cat; they're talking about catfish. I'm like, oh, that makes sense too. Anyways, so no, the Lugaru, but the Lugaru was the big bad. Unfortunately, he was the big bad of the story. It was an unfortunate situation, but he is the big bad.
Mhm.
And you can't kill him. You can't kill the werewolf chapter 1 out of a 30 chapter book.
Yeah.
So there has to be a little give and take with that one. Now, so he does all this research and he takes it to Lieutenant Murphy at the police station, where he bounces into one of the FBI guys, Parker. Now, he gives it to Parker. Parker gives it to Lieutenant Murphy. Now, on his way out and goes back to his car, one of the other FBI guys goes and says, hey, we think that, the main bad guys are, I can't remember which one it was. I think it might have been Ben. I don't know. One of the FBI guys goes and tells Dresden, hey, we think it's this biker group on Full Moon, but you did not hear us from there. So he goes, and this is as you said, a red herring or a false flag in the novel, as you guys have found out. That the biker gang from the Full Moon Biker Shop. Come on, I love you, Jim Butcher, but seriously, I mean, I'm not saying gangs out there in real life have choose some really dumb names for themselves. I mean, back in the 50s, it was the greasers versus the preps. I'm not saying we're the most original, people out there, but what is what it is.
Captain the Sharks, anyone?
Yeah, Jesus. The Peanut Gang. Anyways, so he goes to the biker gang and he looks around and he gets caught. The bikers find out that somebody's scaring around. Now, the lead biker, has to keep all of the rest of his pack, more or less, because they're all berserkers, from attacking Dresden. How would you do that? If you didn't want there to be a big fight, or would you just would there just be a big fight?
It depends, I guess.
Yeah.
This
is kind of a plot armor scenario.
Yeah, if I was doing like a one-on-one DM versus player, not versus, but you know what I mean, game session, and the player was a wizard, and the player did what Dresden did, and did not have what was required to survive, in the way of hit points and spells, etc. The game would probably end really quickly, or I would have put a lot less bad guys in the garage. Because there's no the plot armor that kept him alive was strong with this one. He those kinds of people do not take prisoners. They don't tie people up that are male. I'm going to leave that there. And they would be taking his remains out to the old wood chipper, and that would be the last anybody ever heard of him, without some sort of magical, way of finding this tiny little bitty body parts.
Yeah, I didn't exactly. I'm glad that Dresden made it out of that area in one piece, but I'm not saying that was lazy writing. I'm just
It
saying.
really, it would have been better for him to have not gotten caught and found the information that he needed, or to have gone into the place and no one was there and he got the information he needed, as opposed to everything that happened and then he just magically escapes. That was really, really.
Well, he didn't magically escape. He got out of there, and the biker leader, Parker, basically had to block the door so all the other bikers didn't charge out to go get him. Was how that part was.
What I mean by magically is through the extensive use of plot armor.
Ah, fair enough. Fair enough. I get that one. That's fair enough.
There was no reason for anybody to have let him live.
No,
just like the second time around that happened again. You don't tie people up. We stopped tying people to railroad tracks a long time ago. We just shoot them in the back of the head and dispose of the body. We don't tie people up. There's no information you have. There's no ransoms anymore. People don't get ransomed anymore. People get abducted or captured and then eliminated. That's it. That stopped happening so long ago.
I think the best line from any movie that involves that scenario where you're tied up is, it was Goldfinger, not Goldfinger. Yeah, Goldfinger, no? With the James Bond movie, it was still with Sean Connery. And he's tied up, he's clamped down to a table, and there's a laser beam. What one? Yeah.
I think it was Goldfinger. You expect me to talk? No.
Yeah.
I expect you to die.
Yes. What do you want? Nothing, Bond. I just here. I mean, that to me was more realistic of any James Bond movie I've ever seen. The bad guy just wants you to die. But so yeah, no, I think
it was even better. I think it was better portrayed in maybe it was Goldmember, the Austin Powers movie. You know, I'll go up to my room. I'll get a gun. We'll shoot him. It'll be fun.
Oh, with
that's how it
Seth
happened.
Green's character. Yeah, Seth Green's character.
Yeah, Scott.
Yeah. I've watched those movies so many times.
How it's done. That's how it's done.
Now
Literally,
we have hit the 2 hour mark. It's a little bit over 2 hours. We can continue going. We can continue going, or we can just stop it here and finish up the rest of rest of the book at a later time. It is up to you guys.
Well, we should stop the discussion of the novels here, because I think we're at that point. But what we should do is discuss what we're going to do next week.
Okay.
Unless you have any ideas. Do you have any ideas for next week?
Your guys' pick.
Okay. You got
I know
any
we
idea,
did Stranger Things.
The only idea I have. So, when I went to the dollar store with my mother, I noticed a movie. Called The Scientist. I believe, just The Scientist. I think it's a zombie movie where this scientist guy wants to cure his wife from this disease that no one has ever heard of before, and he creates a zombie virus.
Oh God!
And I really wanted to see it.
When did this happen?
You were busy. But I don't own it right now. But if I ever find it, if I ever manage to find it again, I want to talk about it. Maybe not here, maybe not for a while.
2000. It's 2000. It's an older movie. It's 10 years old. Yeah, I've never seen this movie.
I had never. It was just, those like buckets, these massive jars filled with just old movies. Not even old movies.
Dollar store movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was one of those, and it was. I think it just caught my attention.
Well, if you had your bike, we could go tomorrow, but someone forgot to get the bike.
I didn't forget.
Okay, well, it's not too late. Your mom can still do it today.
But until then,
if we can't pull that one off, because we'd hate to make you have to pay more than $1 for it.
This man's cheap.
No, we make Connell pay.
Oh,
well, I'll pay $1 for a bad movie. I got no problem with that. That's you know.
I mean, I don't exactly have access to it, but I can see if I can get a hold of it if we want to watch that one.
Well, you know what? When we go to the dollar store, I'll try and buy 2 copies, and I'll just ship it to you.
The problem with that one is that it's on that one. I could probably try it. I don't actually have a working DVD player, and my Blu-ray doesn't. Okay. How about this? Have you guys watched Firefly?
Yes, sort of.
No.
I've seen it multiple times. Little guy, we were watching it and we got to like episode 3 or 4.
Never much.
No, it wasn't because we didn't get to Out of Gas, which is my favorite episode. Oh. We didn't get to episode 4 because he didn't want to watch anymore because there is no more after the movie, and that would make him sad having to go the rest of his life without having any new Firefly to watch because he loved it so much that he wanted to make it last as long as possible before he got to that point where we all are in our addictive jonesing for more Firefly that will never come.
Yeah, that's fair.
But I'm okay with that. We can go and visit Firefly episodes, 1 through whatever, or we can watch the classic director's cut or whatever version you might have of the original 1980s Dune.
Dune. I can do Dune.
Yeah,
I can do Dune.
He's never seen it. Knows literally nothing about it, and I don't have access to any of the newer versions. And if he likes it, then we will try to maybe find access to one of the later versions that came out, whether it was the sci-fi series or whatever. But like we did with Clash of the Titans.
Yeah, I can make Dune happen. It's on a streaming network.
Since Dune is like a 3-hour movie, we could do a part 1 with that as well. If we like the first one, then we can maybe give it some time and do a review of one of the later versions, because a lot of the newer versions aren't even out yet or available.
The new one wasn't that bad
in the theaters.
Right, the last one that just came out wasn't that bad. They, I mean, as for movies goes these days, it wasn't really that bad. But no, let's do Dune next week. So next week we will do part 1 of the 3-hour movie Dune. How does that work for you guys?
Yeah,
sounds good.
Yep.
He's never seen it. I personally, I didn't see it till when it first came out. I didn't see it until I want to say almost 20 years later, and I still. Maybe not 20 years, but at least 10 years, because it came out in the 80s. So I think I saw it in the 90s at some point, and I just got lucky and it was on. And I'm like, oh, I've never seen this. I'll watch it. And, I don't want to say any more about that. We'll save it for next week because, it is a classic. We do have a movie we have to watch tomorrow for our channel.
What movie is that?
But
Soylent Green.
Soylent Green.
All right, that sounds like that'd be a fun review.
It's only an hour and a half. 1970s movie. Didn't really think it would warrant 2 hours of discussion, but
that's fair.
We'll cover it in 15 minutes and say all that could possibly be said about it for the most part between the two of us, and that'll be Tuesday.
This guy has a lot to say about it. I know, because he talks about it at least once a week.
It was very that you got to understand that my old man made me watch a lot of movies right after I get home from school at 3 o'clock, and he said, "Hey, this movie's coming on Channel 5. You should watch it." And that usually meant watch it. So, at 10, 12 years old, these dystopian movies and other 70s movies like Planet of the Apes and things like that really affected me more than they'll affect him, because we didn't have much. When it came to science fiction, you couldn't get a daily fix of science fiction back in the old days unless you had a good collection of books and or comic books, because there was no, there was no Star Trek on TV. And if it was on the weekends, and you were usually busy doing other things. There wasn't, we didn't have access to the copious amounts of science fiction and fantasy, at our beck and call any moment of the day through the internet, etc. Back then it was, a lot farther and further in between to find any science fiction, let alone good science fiction.
No, I understand that.
This is long before Star Wars was a thing.
Well, my stepdad was a big horror fan. He still is. So, like, the first movie I remember seeing in theater was the original Aliens, and it was a double feature, Aliens and Aliens.
That was one of the first things I saw in the drive-in as well. I think Jaws was before that for me, but only by a little bit. And yeah, those movies, when they first came out, or when you first see them at a young age, they are powerful. They will influence you. For
Jaws, not so much.
The hell you say?
Well,
when I was a kid and I saw Jaws at the drive-in, mind you, my little brother and I used to ride our bikes or take the bus to the beach every single day by ourselves. No grown-ups, because my mom, she couldn't take us every day. And, for a quarter, we'd hop on the bus straight, 20-minute drive. We're at the beach. And then, come home later on with no adult supervision. We have the whole day to ourselves to do whatever we want. We were lucky if we had a buck for food. My mom would usually give us $1 each. Okay, that's 50 cents to get up and back, and 50 cents to, get something to eat or drink. And mind you, that was actually possible, barely.
Oh God, it's $10 for a popcorn, another $5 for a soda, plus whatever candy the kid wants.
To go to the beach. No, to go to the beach.
Oh, to go to the beach? I was lucky enough to have family members that live next to the beach. So literally, I walk out the back.
So my brother and I, we would go to the beach we'd go to the beach every year, all summer long. Right after that movie came, I would still go to the beach, but I would not go as far into the water as I used to, and that continues to this day.
That's a ration.
That's why it's yeah. Now I eventually did go surfing and boogie boarding and things like that as I got older. But when I was 10 years old, I think I was 10, maybe 12. I didn't go much. If a shark could swim in it, I wasn't in it. It's just
Actually, what got me when it comes to the Jaws movie was horror movies never bothered me. I mean, I grew up watching Chucky, Jason, Freddy Krueger, crap like this way too young in my life. Way too young in my life. But it was movies like, and you're going to give me a little bit of hell for this. I can feel it now. But Titanic, Pearl Harbor, Jaws, anything that could have happened, could happen, or has happened. The more realistic the movie is, was what gave me nightmares. Not the romantic scene on Titanic. I'm not talking about the Jack and Rose aspect of Titanic. I'm talking about the iceberg and the going down of the Titanic.
So movies like Towering Inferno, The Poseidon Adventure, those kind of movies would get you.
Yeah, those will mess with me all day, every day, nightmare-wise. Don't know why, but more realistic it could happen. Those are. I'm not scared of the boogeyman. I'm scared of the oh fuck.
Yeah, most people, like us are way past the the Freddy Krueger in the closet and Chucky and Michael Myers kind of things. We have
Yeah.
actual, we through role playing gaming, and we've desensitized ourselves far beyond the norm, and I totally get where things like that would be the case. Yeah, I can't even really think of anything on the screen at this moment that I could watch other than the original Faces of Death that would
No
get
one
any
needs
kind
to
of
watch those. No one needs to watch those.
I found
Uh,
out the hard way, and I only made it to the monkey brains, and I was on the ground. So, yeah.
no, I was desensitized at a very young age. So if there was nightmares to be
Nobody's
had, yeah, yeah. No, no, no. Let's see what Mark had to say really quick. I love.
Well, then you will catch us Tuesday evening to see our review, I hope, because
Never mind.
that is one of the classic sci-fi movies. If I were to make a list of 10 sci-fi movies that you absolutely have to watch to be a normal, sci-fi fan, let's just put it that way,
It'd be there.
it would definitely be on that list. Obviously the Star Wars and the Star Trek type things, those big franchises would not be on that list because there are movies. Maybe the first ones would be on that list, but there are so many movies that came out before that. Before, let's just say, at least Star Wars, because Star Trek came out quite a couple years later, and it might never have actually happened were it not for Star Wars: A New Hope. But there are a bunch of classic sci-fi movies that really anybody could watch and get and understand and appreciate, and not even call themselves a sci-fi fan, but they could watch it and be like, wow. Because Silent Green and maybe even to a lesser extent Silent Running were marketed to the mass audience, not the sci-fi fans. They were stories that they thought everybody could go to the theater and watch it and be impacted by. At least that's my take on it. And as depressing as both those two movies kind of are, they still really hold up today with a sort of positive message for generations to come, I think. So that's what we're shooting for.
No, that makes sense. That makes sense. I completely agree with that one. Yeah, I saw The Fly, Jeff Goldblum's Fly. Man, that movie didn't give me nightmares, but that was a weird ass movie.
Have you seen it?
I believe so.
You saw the original Fly.
Oh,
with Vincent Price. I recently just found out
that movie's pretty creepy too. That last 5 minutes of that movie, that is one of the most creepiest. All you have to do is say that one line in that voice, and it creeps every. Yes, he was. I am so glad you said that because he was my hero as a kid, all the way well up into, past his movie making era. He was just like the almost the
Omega
perfect
Man. He did Omega Man, Planet of the Apes, Moses.
Everything he touched, he could be in any kind of movie, and be that sort of unstar-like star. Because he wasn't really, as he got to a certain point, he wasn't what you would call, handsome. He just had that everyday man look and sound and, just those qualities. That was another good one, Mark. That was another good one.
See, I never saw the original, The Day the Earth Stood Still. I saw the remake that came out years ago with Keanu Reeves, and I thought that was a good one. Then again, I also like
it's definitely. Yeah, he's never seen the original.
No,
neither have I.
No, I saw it.
Oh, did you? Yeah, but like I was saying with the Fly, those last words on the last 5 minutes of that movie are absolutely possibly the creepiest words that have ever
I'm
been
trying to remember
in a
it.
movie.
I know. Was it? Yeah, that's what it was. Help me! Help me! Yeah. So at least with the Vincent Price one,
To this day, it's just creepy beyond words. It's just so, it's like it was a Twilight Zone. It's got that much of an impact.
It really felt like it was like Twilight Zone without being a Twilight Zone, like the Children of the Dam or
The Planet of the Apes was Rod Serling worked on Planet of the Apes, in the writing part aspects of it. So it's got that sort of feel. Planet of the Apes is another one. It's a very long Twilight Zone, in my opinion.
Honestly,
maybe we got to do that.
The only thing that would make that movie better is if the guy, the host of the Twilight Show before the movie starts, imagine you're an astronaut, and it just did a whole spiel for it. Then you go into Planet of the Apes. I think that'd be fantastic. With that being said, and that's 221. Thank you, Mark, for joining us. Thank you for the comments. We will be talking about movies and books and other gaming related things on this channel and doing reviews. I think reviews are basically been our bread and butter so far. I really like doing reviews with you guys. I think this will probably be a thing for us for a while. And I'm
until we run out of
awesome. Which there's enough books and movies out there. We shouldn't be running out anytime soon. And at some point, me and Shadow, because Jack is too young, will be reviewing cigars, and that will be a fun video. That might not be a Sunday special, but that will be something that me and him do at some point. With that being said, it is Jack's favorite part of the show, words of wisdom. So, to give Jack a few minutes to think about something clever to say, because he is becoming a teenager, wittiness is required to become a teenager, as most parents wish it wasn't. Let's start with you, Shadow. Any words from wisdom other than the normal, or are we going to stick with the patent Shadow wisdom?
Absolutely, I'm going to stick with it, until people tell me not to. Play the games you love with the people you love.
All right, Jack, words of wisdom. Any wisdom that you learned over this past week, Mr. I'm going to be a director when I grow up?
When your plan has a big if, it's not a good plan.
That's word of advice I could definitely use a lot of over the last bit of my dating life. Anyways, my words of wisdom is simple this week. Love your family. Love your family. Spend as much time with your family as you can. If you have them, if you don't have them, make sure you spend time with your friends because they're a family in a whole different sense. With that being said, write your character sheet in the Quran and roll your dice in the dark. And I'll see you all next Sunday. Really quick though, before we sign off, you can find these two people on their YouTube channel called Shadow and Sun. They do weekly videos. What's your next video coming up?
The very next video is tonight. No.
Oh no, you're right.
We have a video almost every single day now, but tonight's video is a painting video where the little guy will be painting the WizKids Warforged Titan miniature while I babble and try to keep you guys entertained. And then Tuesday we will have our Soylent Green review. Wednesday, I will be reviewing the book, The Stainless Steel Rat. Thursday, we will have part 2 of our Table Breakers and Gatekeepers.
Wednesday's Gatekeepers. Thursday is Table Breakers. Right.
And then we have a craft video. And then Friday, I'll do an Arduino review. And then Saturday, I believe I'll have the day off. Imagine that.
Yeah. What day is this? Wow. I got to make sure we have plans for you.
Saturday.
Saturday. I have to make sure I plan something
Mhm.
for you to do. With me, it's kind of simple. I'm kind of simple. You won't see my ugly mug until, well, that's not true. You'll probably see my ugly mug on maybe Shauner's videos, or maybe a
DM James.
broadcast with DM James if I'm lucky to get on, or if Bruce does something. But
Ooh.
other than that, you won't see my ugly mug until Wednesday for Gatekeepers. Max is running this week's show, I believe. Then Thursday, Table Breakers, when we're talking about magical items, how to build magical items for characters, or make them the MacGuffin of the campaign SB. Friday, you'll see me at Max, most likely Chill Stream. Saturday,
Oh, yeah,
I might do
definitely.
something. And Sunday, you'll definitely see me here for part one of probably the 3-part chapter, because the way that we ramble on about other things. Part one of the 3-part version of Dune. I look forward to you. And if you don't ever seen the 1980s or whenever it came out Dunes, and you're really jazzing about listening to the music, keep in mind Sting was in the movie. So maybe you want to listen to some Police. Maybe you want to listen to Sting by himself. It's up to you. With that being said, you all have a good night. Thank you, Shadow and Sun, for joining me this
Pleasure.
Sunday. And I can't wait to see you guys throughout the week.
Bye, everybody.
God bless.